Hello and welcome to week 2. First, I want to apologize if I start coughing. I have some pneumonia / bronchitis going on, so this may be a little shorter than I would hope, and I may start coughing, and I apologize ahead of time for that one. First of all, thank you. There's been some great communication from all of you, lots of emails, check-ins. If you made a mistake and didn't turn things in until Saturday, that's fine. It's the first week. Just know going forward that your first post on every discussion board is due on Thursday. Blackboard shows the due date for your responses to your peers because it won't allow us to set it up to do 2 due dates. You guys have a wealth of experience and knowledge, a great deal of excitement to learn this stuff. I am super excited to see you guys go through this program and all the stuff that you're going to learn and bring to your peers. Your intro videos and posts were amazing. You guys are awesome, all of you. One thing I want you guys to think about is who is this work for, who does it benefit, and who is going to define success, and how long is it going to take to get that success. That's just something to think about going through the whole program. And with that, ongoing self-reflection and conversation with your peers is going to be so important. A lot of you guys have other individuals in this cohort that are teaching similar content or similar levels. A couple of you don't, but still try to find somebody in the cohort that you can connect with. Something that I've seen a lot of cohorts do is actually make a Facebook page of some sort for the group to discuss things where you're not discussing things in front of the professors. If somebody wants to do that, it's not a bad idea. All right. Let's see here. Discussions for this week. There's 2 of them plus the opening remarks. Before I forget, what I want you guys to respond in the opening remarks this week is, as the fall season is coming toward us, what are you looking forward to? Myself, I am looking forward to the start of the football season, as well as going to Seavers Fall Festival, which is a corn maze and other activities festival in southern Minnesota. In addition, as you can see here in the opening remarks, there are learning modules available on APA and plagiarism that must be completed prior to week 7. So to find those, sorry, I'll open that back up in a little bit. They are down here, APA learning modules, ethics and plagiarism, and the APA quizzes. You can ignore this week 2 opening remarks. I don't know why it's there. I know it says there's no due date on them. They are due by the 7th week. There are no points attached to those, but they are required as part of the program. In addition, I completely forgot to mention that you guys should do this graduate outcomes assessment activity. I have set its due date for Friday this week. It is supposed to be done within the first 48 hours of every course. So you can expect that moving forward. I apologize for forgetting about it. Again, it's also not graded. It's just one of those things that the program as a whole wants you guys to do to kind of see how things are progressing throughout the program. Here's what it looks like. It's not a long thing. It's just so that program folks can see where you're at. This week's theme is prenatal trauma and child development. Your learning activities are to watch this video, complete the discussion board activities. Reminder that your initial posts are due on Thursdays, and your responses to peers, which I believe both of them require responses to peers this week, are due Saturday. Another thing that came up, your response to me in the opening remarks does not need to be 200 words long, but your discussion board posts do, and ensure that you include an APA reference for sure in your initial response, and preferably also in your responses to your peers. At least one citation, please. It's good practice. You are also going to complete and submit assignment 1. Assignment 1 is a self-reflection. It is for you to look on your practice. I know a couple of you aren't currently in classrooms, so go ahead and reflect on the classrooms you have been in and or why you are in this program and looking to be back in a classroom. So make sure you include an introduction paragraph, tell me what the purpose of the writing assignment is and the key components to be reviewed. Reflect on why you became a teacher or another role that you currently serve, or like I said, if you are looking to get back into the classroom, why you're looking to do that. Describe your first experience with a student who may have or did experience a traumatic life event. What signals did that student present that enabled you to take notice of their situation? A lot of you told stories about students and you did a very good job making sure not to use their real names, so please continue to do that. What or who helped you to address the student needs at that time? It's very possible that nobody did or they weren't addressed. What would have been helpful then for you to understand student trauma, and what do you want to learn or take away in this class? Then a quick conclusion, summarizing what you've written about. Make sure that you use the APA formatted cover page. 2 pages of written content. Try not to go too far beyond that. It's not a hard stop, but I do appreciate you guys being concise. There are 20 of you. Make sure that you use headings per the APA guidelines. This is one that a lot of folks will do wrong. If you got an APA manual, it lines it up very well. Otherwise, you can look at the APA guidelines on the APA resources stuff. Now, I'm sorry, my brain is not working very good today. The template that I was just discussing is right here under student resources. You can download it. This one will be very good. I apparently can't spell my own name. You can download this and use it for every paper in this course. It's already filled out except for the assignment due date, your name, and your paper title. On the second page, there should be a running header. I'm hoping it'll show up. If there's not, I will re-upload it with a fix after the first assignment. But if you use that template, you are not going to lose any points for that formatting, because if it's wrong, it is my fault, and I take ownership of that. And lastly, like I already mentioned, go ahead and start doing the APA and plagiarism modules, which, as I showed you, are at the bottom of the home page. All right. We already discussed this. Just another reminder that every week your initial discussion boards are due by the end of the day, Thursday. That's by midnight on Thursday. At least 200 words, include citations and a reference list. Quick note on reference lists. It's not super important in the discussion boards, but a good practice is to make sure that they are alphabetical. If you have more than one work from the same author or same group of authors, the tiebreaker for order is to go newest to oldest. I actually need to double check that, but it's to go by year. I'm pretty sure it's to go from their newest writing to their oldest writing. I could be wrong there. I have to check my APA manual, so I will do that before next week. Responses to your peers are due by the end of day 6, which is Saturday, by midnight again. I will try to record these videos and have them up at some point over the weekend. So I like to be able to kind of respond to the learning that has happened during the week. Some themes that I saw this week, you guys had a lot of great questions for me, both in your initial responses to me and in emails. I hope I've answered them all. If I missed yours, please email it to me directly so I can answer it. I think I went through and got them all. I'm not going to give the reminder again. I've given it several times already. Most of you work with students who experience some form of trauma. I would highly recommend when you see those types of trauma come up in the readings to somehow save that article or pay extra attention to the information, or even keep a list of relevant readings or videos that you might want to share with your colleagues or review on your own when you have more time and it's not for a class. All right. A couple of you also asked about how to do an annotated bibliography. So my format for that when I was doing my doctorate was that I would do the ABA reference for the article or video, the full thing. Then I would do themes, so keywords, themes or keywords, so that I could search. So my doctorate, I wrote about different forms of secondary credentials and their correlation to recidivism rates. So some of my keywords were, recidivism, crime, age, like all the different factors that went into that. So that if I was writing a paragraph where I wanted to focus on, well, does the type of crime impact how the type of secondary credential impacts recidivism, I would have looked for, type of crime as my theme or keyword. And then a short paragraph summary. This doesn't, it's up to you how long you want to make it, but my recommendation is to make it just long enough that you're going to be able to remember what's in that article, so that if you want to use it at a later time, you'll be able to pull it back up because you have the APA reference. You don't want that to be too long because you don't want to have to be reading, a 30-page document to find the two sources you want. So that is my recommendation. Do the full reference, put in some themes and keywords, and then do a short paragraph summary. Your course readings for week 2. There's a literature review, a couple of videos, an article, and a website. So another kind of medium week, 20 pages. The videos aren't too long. Just double checking. How are your notes and organizational systems going along? If you are struggling and want some more ideas, go ahead and email me. But that's going to be whatever works best for you. I was really old school, not using technology for both my master's and my doctorate. I printed everything off and kept piles of paper. It was not the best way to do things, nor the most organized, but it did work for me. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. You don't have to use technology if you don't want to. If you don't want to print a single article, you don't have to. Whatever works best for you, just try to find that early and stick with the system that works for you. All right, a couple more points on assignment 1. It is not required that you cite sources throughout this paper, but it is welcome or recommended. So if you don't include any citations in your paper, you do not need a reference page. Secondly, find a proofreader. That could be somebody else in the cohort, a family member or friend. Find somebody. I was lucky enough that my mother was very willing to be my proofreader. She is not a scholar by any means, but I tend to struggle with grammar, and she was very good at pointing that out to me and pointing out when my messages got confusing. So the proofreader you find does not need to be an expert in the topic. In fact, it's probably better if they aren't, because you should be writing your papers as though the reader doesn't know anything about it. A few notes on Blackboard. All late submissions are automatically marked as 0 points. A couple of you noticed that this week. It's not something that I do. It just happens. This first week, I'm going to go back in and regrade everything as though it's not late because it's the first week. In the future, if we have an agreement about an extension, I will override the 0 when I get to grading it. I can't put extensions in Blackboard for discussion boards. I can put them in ahead of time for assignments. So a couple of you have already reached out to me about some things that will be happening in the future. You'll notice that the due date for assignments got moved back for you, but not discussion boards. And that's not because I didn't give you an extension for the discussion board. It's because I don't have a way to do it in Blackboard, short of just exempting you from the discussion board, which I don't want to do. So If I forget that I gave you an extension, just remind me. I make mistakes. I'm not above being corrected for them. Another thing on Blackboard that you guys will all probably notice when you start submitting your assignments is that formatting can get weird when you upload to it. Please upload directly into Blackboard. I prefer if you do not submit separate attachments. Wow, what have we already submitted? I prefer if you put it straight in there, because then I can see it in there and grade it in there and not have to download it separately. This is very helpful for me if I'm grading on my lunch breaks, because I cannot usually open outside things. I can open up Blackboard and see the things in there. If Blackboard makes your formatting go all wonky, just shoot me an email, or you can add a note on your submission when you're actually submitting. Of course, it's not up here. When you're doing the submission, you can add a note on the side, or even just add some text after your submission to say, when I uploaded it, formatting changed. Video and voiceover submissions can have issues. In the other course I'm teaching this semester, my intro video got cut off randomly at 10 minutes and 20 seconds, and it was like 18 minutes long. So just know that those things can happen. Double check. Try to do those earlier in the week so that if you have issues, you can try other things. If you absolutely have to, you can email your video stuff straight to me. And then in Blackboard, just go in and type in a note saying, I emailed it directly to you. And that way, when I go in here to grade, it will show that you did submit something, and it'll just send that email. That's very helpful for me. Again, just keeping track of 20 of you plus another course can get a little bit overwhelming for me. Please continue to be in touch. Again, the best way to reach out to me is mslider@csb.edu. If you send me messages through Blackboard, those can be a little harder for me to get to. I can see those during my work hours if I happen to look at Blackboard that day. Otherwise, I will get an email saying I have a message on Blackboard, and I can't look at it until I get to an actual computer to do it. If you email me, I will always try to respond within 24 hours. And if you are really stuck and need some help, go ahead and reach out to me via email, and we can set up either a phone conversation or a Zoom meeting. I look forward to reading all of your first assignments, and keep up the good work.